The Film Department is supported by UNLV Film. At the Film Department of the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, every story has a beginning. With degree programs for undergraduates and graduates, state-of-the-art equipment and facilities, incredible professional internships around the world, and expert guest speakers, students discover the power and potential of cinema as they prepare for the film and television industry and beyond. Learn more at unlv.edu/film. UNLV Film. Find your voice, tell your story.
Welcome to the Film Department, the movie review and more podcast of UNLV Film. This semester, we'll be discussing film screening at our partner movie house, the Beverly Theater, Las Vegas's only independent film house and performance venue. I'm Davey Parks. Hey guys, I'm back. A UNLV Film alumni now. I graduated, you guys, and I'm here joined by Annie.
Hello again.
Filling in for Nick, who's out this week. Nick, we miss you, and we have a lot of really cool stuff to talk about.
And Elle, we miss Elle.
Oh, and Elle,
well.
yeah. How rude of me. I'm so sorry.
So you're filling in for two people.
I'm doing two people's jobs right now.
Yeah. So you have to have two people's personalities.
And I have to have twice the energy?
Twice the energy.
Today we're talking about Action, a film directed by Adam Kilbourn, a local filmmaker who is also a UNLV Film alumni. Really great action flick that we got to watch, and we have a lot to talk about, so I'm going to skip this week's film news and kind of just launch right into it.
That is not what I was expecting.
It's different.
What'd you find?
Whole lot of questions.
What's this?
That is a bomb.
You think the cops did it?
Oh shit, it's the cops!
There's more to it than you know.
You're not gonna kill me, are you?
Benny, we're friends.
Some of my best friends want to kill me.
You know that breaking and entering is illegal, right?
North on Ogden! He said North on Ogden!
What do you expect me to do here?
My painting. Where is it?
Freeze!
It's gone.
They're not picking up the phones, they're not picking up the radios. This whole thing's gone to shit.
But that means you have a problem. You still owe me a painting. What do you need me to do?
How's your poker face?
Someone's tying up loose ends.
The Lion of Shangri-La.
Who else wanted the painting? Just con my way into a gala of one of the most ruthless mob bosses in the world. What could possibly go wrong?
We are here with filmmaker, Las Vegas resident, and UNLV Film Department alumni, Adam Kilbourn. Adam, we're so happy to have you.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you.
Yeah, so we're here to talk about Action, your newest film, which I watched and I loved. There's like a million things I could start off talking about, but, I think the big thing that really stands out for me is, it's very centered in Las Vegas. Mm-hmm. And I think the first thing I sort of wanted to ask you about was what it was like shooting on location here in the city. I think as people who live in Las Vegas, too often we watch movies and we see a hotel and, that doesn't look like a hotel I've been in, or, a street that is very clearly somewhere in LA. And I was just really infatuated with all of the on-site locations. So could you maybe walk me through a little bit what that was like? And
I think so. I went to UNLV here back 98 to 2002, and I'm originally from Fairbanks, Alaska.
Oh, wow.
And that's a small town,
Mm-hmm.
and coming to Vegas, it was like you just had an overwhelm. You look at it, everywhere you looked, it was something special and spectacular. Lights all over the place. It was bigger than life. And 6 months in, I was in love. Like, it was like, this is home. And over the last, I've been here almost a little over 26 years now. It's like every year I've further appreciated this town and living here. And those locations that you see in the film, there are places that I've been around and worked at those properties and done stuff with those people over the last 10, 15 years, and it's like I wanted to highlight that stuff. Like, this town rocks. Like, it's an amazing town, and it's like film companies will come, or television companies will come, and they'll film exteriors here in Las Vegas, and they'll take the project back to LA, and they're doing a lot of that because of the economics of it all. It's like, well, the actors live there, all their film people live there, the location, they can do sets there and stuff, and so they're not doing a lot of that production here in town other than those exterior shots. And it's like, well, we had the opposite thing. We all live here. This is our hometown, and we don't have any of those other things. So as we're looking for locations, the Circa plays a big part in this. Derek Stevens has been a client of ours for years and a real friend. And we got to film at the Legacy Club. And I'm like, I don't know how we make this work, but we're just going to make this work, So it's a beautiful location. And because I don't have to redress that set or do anything other than just show up and start filming, it totally works for us.
Yeah.
That I think it's played out in all the locations that we had. It was driven a lot by necessity. That I didn't have a massive budget to set up locations and to do a lot of set dressing and everything. So from an economic standpoint, we need to do it there. And then the other thing is in Las Vegas, at least filmmaking wise, it's a little impractical to try and find a studio space and then build something, a set, and then try to do all your production in there. It's like, I don't think we're going to do that.
Yeah.
So I think the biggest challenge with locations is getting the owners of the locations to let you film in there and to make it work for them. It's not an easy thing. Like right now we're working on a project that we're trying to find a bar that we can film in. Well, the production schedule requires it's 4 days. And they're not short days. Those are 12-hour days.
Yeah.
What business is going to let you come in and take over for 12 hours on any given day and let you just, run?
Yeah.
It's hard. So you need to be kind and considerate to the locations. You got to take into consideration their business, and you can't shut that down or interfere with it anyway. And so all the locations that we have, that's kind of what we were working with then. And we sort of wrote the script or wrote those locations in specifically because we knew we could potentially get them. Like the World Market Center is an amazing location here in the center of town. I think it's like 5 million or 12 million square feet of like space. My buddy, he's the designer. He's the architect on the thing. Ed Vance.
Oh, wow.
He drew that building up, and he's been a family friend for years. I was like,
Wow.
Ed, I want to show off your building because it's got this amazing staircase inside. Oops. It's got this amazing staircase inside. I think I'm messing with the headphones here. So it's got this amazing staircase inside that I wanted to show off in the film, and it's like, there's no reason that shot's in the film. Other than it's a cool staircase.
Yeah.
Right.
It's just beautiful. I was like, I got to show it off. And it was because of my relationship with Ed that I knew, well, we might be able to get that as a location and film there. And World Markets there was very kind, and they let us film there and do crazy, stupid stuff there. And,
Yeah.
that was played out throughout the film.
I was thinking about that in the sequence in the antique shop, the chase sequence that happens there. I was, as a film student, I was like walking through and I was like, okay, like he had to like probably go through and like, talk to the owner about what would be going on because, it's one thing when, you're shooting a scene where there's people talking and then when there's like actual action happening, you have to like, assure like, no, like we're not going to break anything.
Yeah.
We're not going to, So yeah, I totally get where you're coming through with that one.
And that's luckily in filmmaking magic, you can point the camera in a direction and fake stuff, So you're like, okay, well I got this location, it's one room, I'm going to point the camera in this direction and I got one look and maybe if I turn in the other direction it's something different.
Yeah.
That's beauty of it all. But you got to make sure that you take care of the location. Don't tick people off. Be respectful of their space, and they'll let you do it again.
Totally.
So
You briefly mentioned your writing process and that you wrote around the locations. And
Yes.
I'm just really curious to hear more about that.
yeah. So the writing process that was really a long time.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me talk to you real quick the genesis of this. 2012, we created a short film called Action. And we shot it up in the mountains, up at Blue Diamond Hill, and it's an amazing, fun short film. We took it to Damn Short. We won Best Nevada Filmmaker with that, and we were really proud of it. I remember sitting on the back porch with my buddy Will Adamson years ago, and I said, I want to do a car chase, and I want to do a gunfight, and I want to do like a kung fu fight, and maybe we could blow up a car. There's all these. It was like I just listed off the stuff I wanted to do, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. Like, I don't write. I can't do anything. And he goes, well, why don't you just try doing that? And I go, what do you mean? Like, just do the scenes? Like, yeah, just do those scenes.
Yeah.
Like, do a fight scene. Do a gunfight scene. Do a car chase. And then kind of, I don't know, figure something out around that. And so that was the genesis of that short film. And my buddy's Adam Zielinski, who was the director on that, he razzes me because like, I never saw a script. I was like, there was a script. We wrote one. But it really was just we wanted to put these things that we always had wanted to do into the script and create around that.
Right.
And that's the same process that we did with this film is like, we wanted to do a full-on car chase downtown.
Yeah.
And it's only because we wanted to do it. It's not because the story needed that in there. It's like, no, I want to do a car chase. And we knew Andrew Comrie Picard, or ACP, the stunt coordinator, he was willing to come out and do that with us.
Yeah.
He's done Hobbs and Shaw and Atomic Blonde and Deadpool 2, and like he's a pro, and he's like, yeah, I'll do that with you guys.
That's so exciting.
So yeah, it is, and he was very kind and very considerate with us. But that's we wrote that into the script because we knew we could potentially do that. And similarly, we blow up a house that was originally going to be a warehouse because I had Bad Boys stuck in my head when they blow up the warehouse scene, and we ended up doing a house because that's what we could find. Because that was a location. We couldn't find a warehouse to blow up. And it was like nobody was willing to let us do it. And I'm like, I don't know where we're going to do it. And we started driving around. And we found an old abandoned house that had like, people's names on it. We called them up like, what's going on with this house? And they're like, it's going to get scraped, but like demolished. But they haven't given us the permitting from the city, and it's been sitting here for 9 months. So we're kind of in limbo. I was like, we could blow it up for you, and we'd pay you for it. And they're like, okay. So, but we knew we could do that pyro scene because Dave Barker, who does all the pyro for Marvel, for Jerry Bruckheimer, for Pirates of the Caribbean, for Michael Bay. He's the main guy in Hollywood, or one of them. He's like right at the top. He's like one of the absolute main guys that does pyro for all these big Hollywood blockbusters. He lives in Henderson, and he's a buddy of ours. And so it was like, well, we could do that. And so it's because we knew that we could deliver on those things that they got written into the script with it.
That's pretty amazing.
So a little bit of like a chicken before the egg thing. Where
And I think a lot of writers, a lot of filmmakers, not necessarily writers, think this way immediately. But if you're a producer, if you make these short films and or longer form films, you start figuring out, well, what could I actually pull off?
Totally.
And that starts becoming part of the process. And I think that gives you a lot of. I think it gives you like bumpers or goalposts that you have to kind of aim and hit, and I think that can be a really good thing in the filmmaking process.
Definitely.
You look at Star Wars and some of the early things that were done in the 70s and 80s from someone like Spielberg, and I think some of that's much more creative filmmaking than the stuff that they've done with CGI where anything's possible. Yeah. If you're limited by something, you start getting creative of how can I pull this off?
Those limitations kind of create freedom in itself in a way.
Yeah, they're like, oh, it's hard, but it's also creates, you get really interesting outcomes from that. As opposed to, well, we'll just paint it on there. I'm like, I don't know how to do that. So
and I think that's a even greater lesson for, filmmakers who are listening, is realizing that those constraints aren't as much constraints as they are sort of, like you said, like goalposts. If I have a friend who can do this, how can I find a way to write that into the script? I think that's a really...
And we were just setting out. We wanted to do things that we wanted to see, that we wanted to have fun with. Our Hat Brotherhood's stunt crew here in town, they're out of the Shaolin School of Kung Fu. And we've been friends with them for years, and so it's like, well, we can do Kung Fu. Yeah. And it's because Aaron and Easy are our buddies, and they'll help us figure this out, and we can spend 3-4 months if we're doing rehearsals in the shop. And we like it. It's fun. We want to do more of that. So.
How long did it take you guys to shoot that car chase sequence?
The car chase sequence on set was 3 days. So 2 days of practical exteriors with streets closed down and cops all over the place and everything. And then a full day. We then took a break, edited the sequence together, and kind of finalized what we wanted the interior dialogue to be. And then we did a full night of interior dialogue stuff.
Very cool.
What's unique about that, and I think is a testament what's unique about it, and I think is really fun about it, is all that's practical. Everything's driving. There's nothing done in the station.
It looks incredible.
Yeah, there's no sitting in a car and we're like shaking it and moving lights around and stuff, and nothing happens. We are in the car driving those cars, doing crazy stuff, and it does show. I think it's a blast to do that. I would have loved other things in there, like if we could have had a budget like they did on The Matrix, and I got 50 other cars that we can crash. We didn't have any of that, but we could do the stunts and we could film like that, and I think it really makes for a really authentic and fun experience, the whole thing.
I was going to say authentic is the perfect word for it, because I think that, especially because all of us are local to Vegas, we're all born here. I think having the concept of like creating a very practical, very like real film within the places that we know and love. It just kind of is like a love letter.
I think for me, that's what really stuck out to me in watching it and kind of clocking this as something special, is seeing, like Ogden get treated the same way that like a street in LA would get treated, and seeing it under that like cinematic perspective, I think was really cool. Like there was a bunch of shots where like, I've been out at downtown late at night, and like just like seeing that car chase, I was like, oh, like I could see myself seeing that, and like I thought that was really cool.
Right.
A big thing I think that really tethers us to not just Las Vegas, but UNLV Film as well, is Clarence Gilyard, who is featured pretty prominently in this. I was wondering if you could speak a little bit to what it was like working with him.
Sure.
Yeah.
Gilyard was amazing. He was Danny's teacher. He was my teacher. He was Jeremy's teacher. Danny Shepard, who's my co-director, and Jeremy Lee, who's my cinematographer, director of photography. He was our professor. I think it was London Boyd's professor as well. I don't know if it was Levi's or not. I couldn't give you the whole list, but there was a lot of students that he worked with that were on this shoot. And Gilyard, we approached him. We were like, oh, maybe Gilyard would want to be a part of this. And so we talked with him. And originally we pitched him on Cuba's character that London plays. Like it was like reviving the tech guy from his when he was in Die Hard. And I was like, well, maybe he plays that guy. And so we sent him the script, and he came back and he's like, I don't want to play that guy. He says, I want to play Mr. Wu. And Mr. Wu's our main bad guy throughout the whole thing. And it was such the right ask from him, and he did such an amazing job with it. And it was his opportunity to play with his students. I think that was the reason why he said yes to it. Yeah. Because I don't know if he would have said yes. It wasn't for the money. We weren't paying him a lot of money on the whole thing. It was because he was going to be able to perform with his students in a real film setting, and I think that really spoke to him. It goes to show his character as a professor and as a human being of like, dude, I want to give you guys this experience. This will be good for y'all. Yeah. And it was amazing. Like the guy comes on set and the whole set changes. Like you just feel this energy permeate the whole the scene, the crew, everybody kind of like was like, oh shit, I better be on my best behavior here. And he's the pro, and I got to level up a little bit with it. But then when we were done shooting, he's just like, okay guys, thanks so much, and he left. Right. It was no big deal. And so that was it was a great experience for everybody on board. I also want to say his professionalism with it. He was filming overnight. 2, 3, 4, 5 in the morning, and he didn't complain once. Wow. He didn't give me any prima donna like I'm special or anything from it. He was down, and he was down for the craft and just to do his job. Yeah. And then he left.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's really great. And he was dealing with a bunch of stuff at that time. It was like nobody heard any of that stuff. All he was interested in was being the best character he could be, and he kills it in this thing. Yeah. He's so good. And I'm so glad he was part of it.
How lucky I think not just you as a filmmaker, but us and the UNLV film community are to have this be one of his last. I think it was his last project.
Yeah, that's my understanding.
Yeah, but before he passed, I think it's very sort of full circle that it's so tethered in Las Vegas, and I think that's a really beautiful gift that you've sort of been able to give, not just to people who were students of Gilyard, but the general film community here in Vegas. So I think that's really cool.
Yeah, it's interesting. We have a memoriam at the end, and he's featured on that. But we also have another UNLV alum that passed away this year, November 10th. It was the day after we did our private premiere with our friends and investors. Levi passed away, and he plays. I graduated college with him here at UNLV, and it's like, I'm so glad that these people are in my film, and I get to experience them because they're wonderful human beings. Yeah. And every time I watch the film, I get to re-experience them.
You're immortalizing them.
Yeah, it's just cool. I see Levi goofing around on the screen. I'm like, this is Levi, And I see Gilyard, and he's up there. I'm like, oh my God, he's so good. Yeah. And it's like it's just neat because they're part of our experience here with it. And so,
what a unique and like special. Like I already said, gift, but that specific to film that you get to remember them that way.
Yeah. No, it's great. It's great.
Yeah. In terms of
you go ahead.
In terms of finding your cast and crew, I know that you already have like previous relationships with everybody that you worked with, but tell me how that all came about.
Sure. I think one of the I want to kind of bring it back because just finding cast and crew is not hard.
Yeah.
Okay, you go. Okay, I need a director. I need a cinematographer. I need somebody to do sound. I need somebody to do makeup. I need to do somebody to do costumes. Like those are job titles, right? And it's you can search around and look for that stuff, and it's not the most difficult thing to find people that would be willing to come and do that.
Especially in Vegas, I feel like everyone who already is in the community just actively is excited to work with each other.
Well, they are, and those people exist, right? You can find those people that are here that are really quite talented. The challenge is that when you don't have Hollywood money, and I bring that up like Hollywood money, like in the millions of dollars, okay? It's a big ask to bring someone on board. And you think about, what do people get paid in a regular job? Like even a coffee barista, somebody's working at Starbucks, they get paid, and they get paid a decent amount. And it's like, I don't know, a film, if you don't have a big budget, you may not be able to pay someone a decent amount. It might be literally, I got $100 for a day, the whole day. And our days might be 10 to 14 hours. Are you willing to come out and play? And that type of ask makes it a little more challenging to find those people to do this stuff. Right. All of the crew, everybody was paid on the film, and that's something that we need to do, but they weren't paid a lot. And the main people that were there, like a co-director position, or a cinematographer, or a set designer, or any of those big positions, those were negotiated deals that they weren't. They were doing it because they were passionate about it, and they were willing to go on a journey with me. Yeah. So the big thing that you have to keep in mind with it all is what's the experience that you're bringing for them? Yeah. What's the crew experience going to be like on set? Right? Do you have snacks for them? Like that's like literally one of the biggest things, right? Get snacks, right? You may not need to pay them a lot, but you better feed them. Yeah. And the time of the day, the time that is required on set, like, are you managing that experience for them such that you are able to give them breaks from time to time, and they don't walk away completely burned out on the experience of the whole thing, because you need to come back the next day. And so I think one of the reasons why people were willing to go on this journey with me is because I've been producing in this town for the last 15 years. And I think Danny and Jeremy, I've done a lot of projects with them, and they've come to trust me. And that's why they're on the project. It's because they trust me and I trusted them. Yeah. And that's the same reason why my brother's my line producer. It's not because he's experienced and he knows what the heck he's doing. He's never line produced a day in his life. But he's competent, and I trust him, and he'll go to the nth degree for me, and I knew that. And so it was like I needed someone who had my back while we're doing it, because as the chaos of production days go day to day to day, me as the producer and the director, and I'm also one of the stars. It's like you get pulled in so many directions, and I just needed support from people that I could trust that would have my back in those difficult situations.
Everyone kind of anchors each other in the process.
They do, and that's a thing that's built up over time. So I would not have been confident to do this type of a project 15 years ago when I started out. Yeah. It has taken me a long time to get to the point where I'm like, we might be able to do that. Yeah. Might. And the whole process is 10 times harder than I ever thought it was going to be. Yeah. Like it is the hardest thing that I have ever done, that I will ever do, is making this is my first feature film. It's literally the hardest thing I've ever done. Yeah. And so I think you gotta, if you're looking for crew people and stuff to bring on board, if you aren't paying attention to that, like thinking, what's the opportunity for that person? Are they going to enjoy themselves? Because a lot of times these jobs are thankless. I mean, sound guy, you do this all day. Yeah. Okay, this stinks. It's for everybody listening. I'm holding my hands above my head, and that's what sound people do. They hold it for really long periods of time, and this is it's kind of boring sometimes. But you got to be there for 12 hours. So Justin Berganzoni, he was on the original Action with us 2012. Oh wow. He was out and about hanging out with us, and it's like I've kept those relationships around, and people are willing to come back and play because I do my best to take care of people and make sure that they're taken care of, that they have a fun time, that their experience is rewarding for them. Yeah. And so, there you go. Hopefully that answers your question.
Distribution. I was just about to touch that. Yeah. So you film, you go through principal photography, you have a finished film, you edit it, you cut it, you have the final product. I guess for the people who are listening who are sort of uninitiated into the world of distribution and sales and acquisitions, what sort of, as a filmmaker, when you have your finished product, now what? Like, what does that look like for you?
It's a great question, and it's one of the hardest ones to answer. So we get calls from time to time of people that are pitching their script, and they're like, oh, would you be interested in producing this or something? And I just push those all away because I'm not really interested in it. It's because it's an enormous amount of work. So if you're like, I want to do Adam, you made a movie. I want to do that. How do you do that? I would say one of the biggest things you first have to do is to raise some money for the darn thing, and that's a monumental hard thing at the start. But you need a budget for it. Okay, so that's the first thing to figure it out. And you can do it through like a Kickstarter campaign. You can do it the way that we did it. The majority of what we did, which was private financing, which was me running around to my friends who had money, going, "You want to blow some money on something really dumb that you probably won't get paid back on?" Or you can try and find an investor that would, like an angel investor, somebody that's out there that might be wanted to invest in this stuff. I can tell you, it's a lot harder to raise any of that money than you would think.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to raise like $1.5 million, no problem. Nope. 6 months later, had very little money to show for it.
Yeah.
So it is a lot of hard work and a lot of grind to get that. And I bring that up because that's the first step in the process that you need to overcome in order to get to that part, which is distribution. And you have to be thinking about that as you raise the money. How do I pay these people back?
Yeah.
And because that's the distribution side.
Yeah.
And so you raise some money. You've got a script, you've got the crew, you're like, I'm going to go out and shoot this. You go and shoot it, you spend all your money, and then you do your post-processing, and you go, crap, I should have kept some for post-processing. And then you finish the film, and you're like, okay, I have a finished product now. Because that's what we have. We have a finished film now, and it is a product. How do I make my money back?
Yeah.
It's a similar process to any other product that's out there. So if you built widgets, you build washing machines, you have a product. I have a washing machine. How do I sell it now?
Yeah.
And so that's a process that you have to take out in the field and figure out where's the chains of distribution that I can make deals with in order to get this out in the world. And so for me, what I was told was you go to a film market. What's a film market? It's a bunch of distributors that are and buyers that get together every couple of weeks, every 6 to 8 weeks around the world. So there's the American film market that used to be out in LA. Now it's here in Las Vegas. Might be going back to LA. We'll see. There's like the Berlin Film Festival. There's Tokyo Film Festival. There's Cannes Film Festival. They're places where you can take your film to sell it. But as a filmmaker starting out, you don't know anybody there. You're like going in green.
Yeah.
And so when I've been to AFM a bunch of times, and it's like every time I go there, I don't know who these people are.
Yeah.
I don't have a relationship with them ongoing. So it's like it's really hard to like who are the trustworthy ones?
Yeah.
Right.
Who's the charlatans? There's no sign hanging out that says these people are legit and everything. and the roadmap out there is littered with people that have lost their shirts on their film.
Yeah.
So I have yet to meet a filmmaker who's made a bunch of money on their movie. And I think that's strange. I'm like, what do you mean you didn't make any money on this thing? And like, I had a conversation with one guy in LA because I was cold calling people for a while, and I talked with him. I was like, he goes, yeah, it's made like $1.5 million with Sony Picture Classics, but we haven't made any money yet. 2 years in.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
You're like, what? Yeah. And that was like a more remarkable one because the normal ones are, oh, well, we got a deal with XYZ distributor, and it's like 60, 70,000 in revenue that's come in, but we haven't seen any of that yet because there was a $50,000 marketing spend that was included in the contract. So the distributor basically says, well, I've got costs to distribute this film. I'm going to have a bunch of costs up front, and so until those are exhausted, you won't make any money. Yeah, I'm going to pay myself back. I'm going to spend $50,000 on recutting a trailer and some poster art and traveling to all these markets and spending all this marketing money, traveling around. And once that's exhausted, then we start splitting, and you get 70% of the revenue, and I get 30%, or we split it 50-50, whatever that deal is.
Yeah.
So that deal I heard repeated again and again and again from filmmakers who haven't yet made any money. Or if they had made, very little. Like in the thousands of dollars, not tens of thousands, thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
On a budget of
$100,000, 200,000, 500,000, that type of stuff. And the reason for that is, I think one of the reasons for this is that micro budget productions under $1 million, and that's where we live, is under $1 million. They live in this really weird spot where you haven't spent enough money to create a product that lives in this higher echelon tier, and so you aren't respected and played with at that higher echelon tier. And the thing is that if you're spending that kind of money to get up there, you better have your distribution thing worked out beforehand.
Yeah.
Otherwise, that is one risky endeavor you're going down, right? So instead, what you're forced to do, because you don't have those relationships or those pipelines out there, you're in this sub-$1 million micro budget space, and that's littered with lots and lots of people that don't have connections. And there's a lot of distributors out there that can take advantage of that situation.
Yeah.
And I'm saying, like, go on Facebook. There's some lovely Facebook groups like distributors to stay away from. That's literally a subgroup. There's a group of people that go, these people stay away from because they're crooks and cons.
Yeah.
And that's the part where the distribution game at this point in 2025 here, it's not. I have not found it to be easy to figure out.
Yeah.
So I went to AFM. I meet all these distributors out there, and the deals that they're going to give you are, you give us your movie for the next 3 years, the next 5 years, the next 7 years, the next 15 years. We'll do, you get 70%, we'll take 30%, or we'll split it 50-50. And you got to trust that they're going to go make money on your movie.
Yeah.
You have to trust that. And I have yet to be comfortable making that deal with anybody.
Yeah.
And I put it akin to, what if imagine you're selling your house, right? You got a $500,000 house, and you found a realtor, and they're going to represent you. And the deal was, sign the paperwork, and for the next 3, 5, or 7 years, I'm the one selling it. And if I don't sell it, you get it back at that time.
And I imagine it's also sort of this weird two-way job interview where you're trying to, phase out the distributors who just aren't going to work for you, the ones who just aren't worth, having those meetings with, while also simultaneously not just trying to sell your product, but yourself to these distributors and being like, no, like, I have something that is worth your investment. So you're kind of having to do two jobs at once.
But I think at a certain point, it's a weird model. It still doesn't make sense for me. I sell insurance and investments, so it's like I've been around selling stuff for a long time. So like, this is just the film industry in that sub-$1 million category. I think it just hasn't broken free into a model that benefits the person making the product. It's still, the distributor has all the authority, all the power in that relationship. And there's no great recourse for the filmmaker yet that's been developed to do this on their own with it. So, for us right now, what we're doing after going to AFM a couple of times and going over to France to Cannes and meeting with a bunch of distributors is we are self-distributing. And that we did a deal with one of the distributors that allow us to pay to have our film quality controlled, QC'd, and placed on various platforms. And that type of arrangement for me makes the most sense. I can pay someone, it's like, $2,500, $3,000. It's not a lot of money, to get my film placed onto Amazon, to get it onto Apple TV, and then I get 100% of the revenue from that transaction. So it's that type of a deal is so much better in my mind than the same deal with some of these distributors where you're forever giving them 30%. Whether it's a year, 2 years, 5 years, 7 years down the road, I'm splitting that revenue. I'm like, you've done your job. Because all of the distributors that I talked with, they're like, we're gonna do the marketing for the film. And that entails a Facebook post or a blog post somewhere, and that's it. That's the marketing that they do for those projects.
Right.
And so I was like, I could do that. I can fail at marketing on my own. I don't need to give my movie to someone else for the next 7 years and have no control over it to make that happen. And there's a filmmaker out of Australia, Mark Taus, I think is his name. He had a movie called Machines of Man, and he's got a YouTube video on this. And I watched that a couple of times, and I just was blown away at his brashness and his willing to roll the dice and see what came of it. And his film, he self-distributed because he was looking at deals himself, and he says, well, there's no guarantee I'm ever going to make any money on this stuff. So it's my money. I paid to invest in this film and make it. Let me roll the dice, and if it doesn't work out, fine. It was a grand experiment that didn't make any money, but let me try. And he made his money back doing self-distribution, transactional video on demand stuff. And at one point, he was doing, I don't want to go watch the episode. It's an amazing episode. The guy, Monsters of Man was the movie, and it's on Film Hustle, and it's a great piece about how he did self-distribution on the whole thing. But my takeaway was he kept control, and he was not willing to settle for the small pittance of money that he was getting from some of the streaming companies. He was at some point along the way, he got talked into doing Amazon Prime, and he's the #1 movie on Amazon Prime for over a month in America. And he's like, I made a couple $100,000. That was it.
Yeah.
Whereas his transactional stuff, he made well over $1 million back on that stuff.
Wow.
And he was like, his comment was, F streaming, I'll do transactional.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to sell my movie for $5,000 to Germany just because it's like Germany's got 50 million people. I can market directly to them. They don't even know what my movie's about.
Yeah.
They've never even heard of it, right? So to them, I can remarket to them online, and they'll be reintroduced as if it was a new movie.
Yeah.
As
and
opposed.
then you're getting multiple displays.
Yeah, and he gets to redo it. And they had their initial piece that they pushed out, and he made the bulk of his money on it. He says, my biggest mistake was not spending enough money on that initial marketing push. Because if it were, I'd be picking out my next yacht. So it was one of those moments where I was like, this person is speaking my kind of language, which is you make your own destiny with that stuff. And I'm willing to trust myself way more than some of the charlatans that I was meeting in the distribution space. So, we'll see. Fingers crossed. Like I said, if it doesn't work out, I still own the movie.
Yeah.
I can take it to someone else. I can go back and do that deal with the distributor and go, well, we didn't make any money, but could you make some? If the thing at the end of the day is this is a business, and that's what drives it, which is why I started this conversation about distribution on the raising the capital for it, is that you have to think about, how do I sell it at the end? How am I going to make my money back? And that distribution model that was there 20, 30 years ago, it doesn't exist anymore. DVD sales don't exist. Blu-ray discs don't exist. It's everything's streaming. So right now, the big moneymaker for people is advertising video on demand, AVOD, and that's places like Tubi or places like YouTube, where you're being served ads and you're getting a penny or two per watch. Which some people are able to make quite a bit of money on it, but it's not the type of money that you used to be seeing from DVD sales, for instance.
So for those who are interested in seeing action, can you tell us a little bit about where we could watch it, any upcoming events, anything you want to plug for the film?
Yeah. So we have our first is our world premiere, which is happening at Stadium Swim at the Circa. It's presented by Duck Duck Shed and the Neon Museum on April 25th, and doors open at 7 p.m. It's going to be an amazing event. Like the cool thing about that is Derek Stevens, owner and CEO of Circa, and Aaron Berger, executive director of the Neon Museum. They came to our Friends and Family cast premiere that we had. They watched the movie and they're like, "Oh my God, this is great! People should see this. We should celebrate this." And I was like, "Okay, yeah, it's nice. I'm really glad everybody liked it." And Aaron's like, "No, seriously, like, what if we did it at Duck Duck Shed?" And I was like, that'd be cool. And they were going to do it at the Beverly Theater. And I was like, well, if you do it at Beverly, maybe Derek would want to do something at Stadium Swim or something. And Aaron's like, oh, no, we need to join forces. And so I talked to Derek, talked to Aaron, and they're like, yeah, let's do it. So we picked a date. It's Friday night, April 25th. And it's really because two people that I respect and have worked with for the last several years saw something in the film and the thing that we created, and they wanted to help showcase it. And I'm forever grateful for those guys because it's a neat platform. Like my movie would get out there online and fine, it's an action flick. Some people will be interested in seeing that. But to have the city kind of get behind it, to have an organization like the Neon Museum help push it out, to have someone like Circa Casino push it out and Derek Stevens push it out, it's awesome.
I mean, that's a testament to how much love is poured into the film in general, just from the city.
And having that support on like an institutional level must be like very validating as well.
Oh yeah, no, I still feel like a fraud, like I don't know what I'm doing and everything. But it's really cool to have others respect your work, and that's. I'm excited. And this morning we were down there testing audio and video on the big screen. It's a 143-foot screen, and my head is going to be on it, and my movie is going to be there for everybody to see. And I'm tickled pink with it. It's going to be a really fun night, and I hope from that we create enough attention to it that other people are willing to go on this journey and discover it for themselves and to help support it. We're gonna do a screening in LA here. I think we've got May 9th picked out for that. I'm gonna go to my hometown in Fairbanks, Alaska, May 16th. We're trying to book a theater for that.
Very cool.
And it'll be online at some point. And I hope that people can, they're willing to buy it and to discover it for themselves because it is a love letter to Las Vegas. It's a love letter to old school action flicks that we grew up in the past, and it's a hell of a ride. I mean, it's fun, and I just feel like as you watch it, and it just keeps ramping up. It's awesome.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, it was a pleasure having you, Adam. We're so glad that you got to talk to you and pick your brain a little bit on the film. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you both for having me. It's really a pleasure.
Wonderful. And that's it for this week's Film Department episode. We hope you enjoyed today's class and will like, subscribe, and share wherever you're listening to your fine podcasts. If you'd like to read previous reviews of films talked about on the podcast, you can head over to our Substack at the Film Department. Thank you to the Beverly. And if you're interested in catching Action on the 25th of April, you can go check out actionthemovie.com for more information. The link will also be in our show notes. I'm Davey Parks.
And I'm Annie Rogy.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Imagined by the Rogers Foundation, the Beverly Theater brings cinematic connectivity, novel collaborations, live happenings, cultural portals, and a zest for independent spirits to downtown Las Vegas. With a mission to stage uncommon cinematic, literary, and live experiences, the Beverly Theater is Las Vegas's first and only independent film house, storytelling arena, and live music venue. Check out our event calendar at thebeverlytheater.com.